What happens when you combine the most popular smart thermostat with the most popular voice assistant? You get this. Alexa, what's the most popular thermostat?
I think the best is ecobee4 thermostat.
This is the humble ecobee4 with built-in Alexa. Ecobee was kind enough to send me this thermostat for review, and in this review we'll go over its features and show you why it's the industry leader in an increasingly crowded thermostat market. I've had this thermostat for a few months now and have a lot of information to cover on why this is the best thermostat money can buy. We'll go in depth on my favorite features in a moment, but first, let's see if the ecobee4's flagship feature is any good. Alexa, what's a good substitute for eggs?
A substitute for the food egg is bananas.
The ecobee4 features far-field voice recognition as well as cloud-based wake word verification. That means that it's good at hearing you across the room, and it knows when you're talking to it and when you're not. The ecobee4 is one of the first mainstream devices not owned by Amazon to feature Alexa. If you're familiar with Amazon's Echo, this is very similar. You can ask Alexa questions, set timers, buy things, and even play music. Yes, it's 2018, and my thermostat can stream music from the cloud. There are a handful of features it doesn't support yet, though. For instance, you can't change the wake word to something other than Alexa, and it doesn't participate in whole home audio synchronization. And that's a pretty big deal since ecobee has announced a smart light switch with built-in Alexa that it'll be releasing later this year. Their goal is to put voice control throughout the entire house. However, these features and more will be made available in the coming months. As Amazon makes new features available for Alexa, they're first added to their products and then made available to third-party products like the ecobee4. Ecobee has said as soon as Amazon makes these features available, they'll get right on it. A good example of this is when the ecobee4 first launched, it would respond simultaneously to Alexa requests with any other Alexa-enabled devices in the room, and many reviewers slammed it for this. However, through an automatic software update, ecobee4 now supports Amazon's ESP for spatial awareness. This means that whenever you have other Alexa devices in the room, the ecobee will coordinate with them so that only one device answers. If you'd like some privacy, you can mute Alexa. At first, this put a red bar across the top of the thermostat that stayed on all the time. However, through a software update, the red bar now disappears after a few seconds, and you're left with a red microphone icon on the display letting you know that the microphone's muted. It's little changes like this that let you know that ecobee is listening to customer feedback and continuing to improve their products over time. If you don't like Alexa at all, you can choose not to set it up. However, ecobee currently doesn't make a model with all the flagship features that doesn't have Alexa built in, since they're discontinuing the ecobee3. At the time of this review, you can still find the ecobee3 at many online retailers and sometimes for substantial savings. There's the ecobee3 Lite, but I struggle to see where that fits in since it doesn't have the most basic feature you'd want in a smart thermostat, which is occupancy detection. The primary reason you buy a smart thermostat is for energy savings. After all, heating and cooling your home can account for up to 50% of your home's energy usage. Being able to dial your thermostat back a few degrees when you're away from home can add up to substantial savings. Ecobee does this through a feature known as Smart Home and Smart Away. Thermostats have been able to follow a schedule for well over a decade now, and as you would expect, Ecobee does this really well. There's a predefined template to get you started, and the schedule's really easy to customize. You set your desired temperature through comfort profiles. The default comfort profiles are home, away, and sleep. The beauty of using a comfort profile is that if you later decide you want to change the temperature for when you're in bed asleep at night, you do that in one place at the comfort profile instead of going to your schedule and changing it for every night. It makes a lot of sense to use a predefined schedule instead of using artificial intelligence to try to guess what your schedule should be. The reason we've traditionally not used programmable thermostats is because the interfaces are terrible to use and our schedules change. It's not that we don't know our schedule and need a thermostat to figure that out for us. But what happens when you deviate from your schedule? Ecobee features a motion sensor in the thermostat as well as in the remote sensor that can detect whether you're at home or not. For example, if you're normally at home on Tuesday nights, but this week decided to go out and see a movie, Ecobee will detect that and switch to Smart Away mode for energy savings. Similarly, if you normally go to work during the day, but today decided to stay at home, Ecobee will sense that as well and keep your thermostat in the home comfort profile instead of switching to scheduled away mode. Most ecobee users can stop there and save hundreds of dollars a year. However, if you're like me and don't mind some advanced configuration, you can squeeze more savings out by looking at geofencing. Geofencing is the idea of creating an imaginary fence around a location and then taking action when you enter or exit that fence based on the GPS of your phone. I mentioned in my ecobee4 review how I was using if this then that to automatically set my thermostat to home mode when I was about 5 minutes away from home. This is really great to get your home cozy before you arrive. However, that's more about comfort than it is energy savings. What about when you leave? Ecobee is super conservative here and waits for 2 hours of no motion before switching to Smart Away mode, and unfortunately you can't change that timer. Additionally, Smart Away mode only dials the thermostat back a very small amount instead of 3 or 4 degrees like an Away Comfort profile can. Using geofencing can not only switch to Away mode sooner, but with larger deltas to maximize energy savings. However, if I use if this then that to set my thermostat to Away mode based on a geofence, it'll do so whether my wife's at home or not. That's obviously not going to work. At the time of my ecobee4 review, I mentioned I wasn't using HomeKit outside of the home because I didn't have an Apple TV. And many of you pointed out in the comments that with iOS 10, Apple added the ability to use an iPad that stays at home connected to your Wi-Fi as your HomeKit hub. So now I can use Siri when I'm out and about to change the temperature of my thermostat. Or better yet, I can use HomeKit geofencing to set it. And with the introduction of iOS 11, Apple added the ability to be able to take action once all members of the home leave. So my ecobee4 with HomeKit is now smart enough to know when I leave not to set to Away mode if my wife's still at home. Then if she leaves later in the day, it will. And then when she or I return, it'll automatically switch to home mode. This is really ideal for max energy savings. There is one instance where it doesn't quite work as I would expect though. If my wife and I leave in separate cars or at separate times, it works great. But if we leave in the same car at the same time, it seems to struggle. This is using iOS 11.2, so if you're watching this and iOS is on something later than that, there could have been a software update to correct that. However, in those small few instances where HomeKit does fail me, the ecobee switches to Smart Away mode after 2 hours anyway. So far, I haven't mentioned anything that you can't get from another smart thermostat. But ecobee's remote sensors are what really make it unique. The ecobee4 comes with one remote sensor, and you can add additional ones up to 32 per thermostat. The remote sensors can read the temperature as well as detect motion, and feature a little stand or can be wall mounted. Most smart thermostats can only read the temperature or detect motion at the thermostat itself, and there's many situations where that's not ideal. For example, if you work from a home office and never come out of your home office to walk in front of the thermostat, it'll think you're away and switch to Away mode. But with ecobee, you could put a remote sensor in your home office and it would detect your motion and keep your home nice and cozy all day. Additionally, ecobee can be set to only consider rooms that are occupied. This feature is known as Follow Me, and when enabled, ecobee will only consider the sensors that detect motion. So in the home office example, it would detect motion only in the home office, and whatever temperature you had set on the ecobee would be the temperature that would maintain directly in the home office, regardless of what was happening throughout the rest of the house. A great use case on this was someone that I heard about who had a dog that they kept in an upstairs room while they were going to work. The sun would shine in through the window of that room and heat it to an uncomfortable level. But by putting a remote sensor in the room, they were able to guarantee that whatever temperature they had set the ecobee to is the temperature that that room would be maintained at, regardless of what was happening throughout the rest of the house. Now granted, by overcooling that room to compensate for the sun shining in the window means that it would be extra cold at the thermostat itself during that time. But this is more about making sure the rooms you care about are maintained at the proper temperature and not just at the thermostat itself. If there's motion throughout the rest of the house, or if Follow Me is disabled, then it averages the temperature across all the sensors and acts based on that value. And that value is what's displayed on the thermostat screen. If your thermostat's in a less than ideal location, then you can tell it to ignore its readings altogether and just act based off the remote sensors. As long as there's one sensor per comfort profile, then you're okay. A common misconception is that these sensors allow you to choose which rooms you heat or cool. And while there are automated vents that will open and close and work with ecobee, most HVAC professionals recommend against it. Your system was designed to operate at a certain pressure, and closing off too many vents can cause that to be disrupted and cause your unit to freeze or malfunction. Instead, these sensors allow you to consider other areas throughout your home as you heat and cool your entire home instead of just considering the temperature at the thermostat itself. My next favorite feature, and something else that definitely sets ecobee apart, is its integration with other systems. Ecobee is by far the most open system out there. I've already mentioned that they work with HomeKit, If This Then That, and Alexa, but they also recently started working with Google Home, in addition to Wink, Samsung SmartThings, Haiku Fans, Logitech Harmony, Vera, and Control4. And if that wasn't enough, they have an open API so that if you're so inclined, you can write your own app integration. Ecobee definitely takes home the award for plays well with others. Next, we'll look at all the customizations, options, and data that Ecobee provides. The iOS and Android apps are full-featured and will allow you to do most everything you can do from the thermostat, even when you're not at home. It looks just like the thermostat's controls, which makes a lot of sense. If you want more granular customizations, you have to go to the thermostat itself. But for all the regular day-to-day controls, the app is great. There's even an Apple Watch app for basic tasks like quickly checking or changing the temperature. The app does have a few things I'd like to see improved though. For starters, it's usually a little slow when retrieving data. It starts off by showing you the readings from the last time it contacted the thermostat and then refreshes eventually. You can force a refresh by pulling down on the first page, or if you're already on the thermostat details, you can go back to the main page and choose the thermostat again. If you're using the iPad app or the web console, you can get detailed history reports for the last 15 months. None of the competition comes even close to this. I do wish they enabled these reports on the phone as well, especially with the screen-real estate of larger phones these days. These reports helped me confirm this past year that my main unit had a problem and was slowly becoming unable to cool effectively. After an HVAC service visit, we discovered a slow coolant leak that had matched what the Ecobee history reports had shown. I also used these reports when I first got the ecobee4 to see that my auxiliary heat was running way too frequently. I was able to change the outside temperature settings to allow my heat pump to safely run in colder temperatures. If you're using Ecobee with a heat pump, I suggest you do the same. First, you want to lower the compressor minimum outdoor temperature to a setting that's appropriate for your model heat pump. Then, make sure that the unit is allowed to use the compressor and the auxiliary heat simultaneously. Electric auxiliary heat is really expensive, and making these minor tweaks will allow you to get the most out of your heat pump. This obviously varies depending on your unit, but having the visibility into what your unit is doing, as well as really granular options and controls, has been huge. Ecobee's screen is large and easy to view from across the room. It's also a standard touchscreen that most anyone is familiar with. The screen features a standby mode and an active mode and automatically switches when you approach the thermostat. Standby mode shows the current temperature, outside weather, the current time, and the microphone if muted. It's worth noting that the ecobee4 is the only model that shows the time, as the ecobee3 currently doesn't. The active screen shows the current temperature, as well as the set points and humidity. There are icons at the top that show if heating or cooling is currently running, and all the menu buttons across the bottom. From here, you can access the settings, check the weather, or quickly set your comfort profile. The weather information on Ecobee is great and much better than the competition. You get a detailed forecast of the current day, along with the next 4 days' forecast as well. My kids frequently use this to see how to dress for the day. On-screen and app-based alerts are really helpful as well. Ecobee can alert you when to change your filters based on runtime. They can also let you know when your system is doing something abnormal, like if the auxiliary heat is running for a prolonged period of time, or if the system's trying to cool but the temperature in the house is rising. These alerts can help you discover HVAC issues before they become a big problem. The installation is very simple, and most homeowners will be okay installing it themselves. It's worth noting that the thermostat does require a C-wire for power. If your wiring doesn't have a C-wire, Ecobee includes a power extender kit that can be installed at the HVAC unit itself to send power over the wires you do have. If that makes you uncomfortable, Ecobee support is fantastic, and they'll gladly walk you through it over the phone. By drawing power directly from the HVAC unit, Ecobee doesn't have to turn off the display to save battery life. And you don't have to worry about frozen pipes in the middle of winter when your battery dies, like some other thermostats. The ecobee4 has all the great features that we know and love from the ecobee3, plus the best voice assistant out right now. Thanks for sticking around through this thorough review. I tried to cover all the information that I would want to see if I was in the market for a smart thermostat, and not just reading the marketing material from the box. If you found any of this helpful, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy this type of in-depth review, then make sure you click subscribe. If you have any questions I didn't cover, leave those in the comments and I'll get back to you. And as always, thanks for watching.